Nityanandam. This is for all my Facebook and YouTube viewers. And today I have a very interesting video to make. I have here with me a very young, charming, Inner Awakening participant joining me in this YouTube video. And Delina, Nityanandam.
Nityanandam.
So today we're going to have a sharing where Delina is going to share her journey of her Inner Awakening. Before we start with the video, let's start with the Sadguru Vandana. Nityanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Okay, Nityanandam, Delina, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, thank you. How
okay,
are you?
Why don't you introduce yourself to our viewers?
My name is Delina Fajardo. I live in upstate New York. I am, my trade and my background is in medicine. I'm a PA, a physician assistant in emergency medicine, and I did that and also open heart surgery for like 16 years. And then I got burnt out and I decided to save lives in a different way to enrich lives. And so I got into the field of coaching, life coaching, and I started to write books. My core message and what I write about and what I coach about is how to help people find their life purpose, how to live a meaningful life. So that's what I'm doing now.
Okay, so what got you to Swamiji?
Oh, this is a great story. So in 2012, I transitioned careers into life coaching, as I said, and I started to write a book on my steps on how I transitioned and how I was finding my life purpose. And I thought this would be a really great way to help people to find their life purpose. And in writing the book, I hired an editor online. And this editor was a devotee of Swamiji. And she asked permission. She said she was completely led to my book. And she found it very interesting that the truths that I was talking about, what I was talking in my book, very much aligned with Swamiji's truths. And so she asked permission to write through him. And I said, absolutely, of course, I completely respect that. So she did that and really augmented my book. So ultimately, it was like I hired Swamiji to ghostwrite and write in my book. And so we gave him credit, of course. And we even talked about Inner Awakening at the back of the book, which was so interesting. So that became a bestseller on Amazon. And it's still on Amazon. And that was in 2013. It's called Purpose Now, 8 Steps to Finding Your True Purpose in Life.
Wow.
I'm going to be sending you copies.
Yes. And now that you spoke about Inner Awakening, and for all the viewers, I wanted to say Delina was here in India attending the 23-day retreat called the Master Program offered by Swamiji called the Inner Awakening. So Delina, when you actually came for Inner Awakening, did you know anything about the program? Like, what was your idea about what Inner Awakening is about?
You know, I had watched a lot of videos of Swamiji prior, and I had been to workshops for 2 years before I had committed to Inner Awakening. I went open-minded, but I really didn't know what to expect, to be honest. And I had decided to take my mom, and my mom went with me, which probably is the best thing that we could have done. I went there with just intentions to become enlightened, to understand my true life purpose, and to further manifest, like to easily manifest, because I felt like I was getting stuck in some places. So those were my intentions. When I was there, I got so much more. And this is what I've been saying to everybody, like all my coaching clients and everybody I speak to about Inner Awakening now, because I have an experience, direct experiences. I have been and done, as a life coach myself, you have to walk your talk. So I have done so many personal development events, so many things that you have to go to depths to clear incompletions. Good. I've been doing since 2012. I've probably been to 25 events, hardcore events. This event blew that away completely, because it went, not only are you doing the work with your logical work the exercises that they give you. But at the same time, you have an avatar, you have Swamiji that is working on your biosystem. Like I could feel him as I was doing exercises, working on my bioenergy and in my system. You feel the heat, you feel him. So you have the grace of an avatar that's working with you while you're also working through your stuff. And that was the biggest difference. And so it made a huge impact, because that's the blockages that I was hitting, is that he just helped lift them.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And if you were to describe inner awakening to somebody who was out there, born and brought up in the Western world and doesn't know about an avatar, doesn't know about India, doesn't know about this culture, doesn't know about the civilization, how would you introduce inner awakening in a few lines to them?
I would say Inner Awakening is a program that if you go there with being open-minded and understanding how a guru could help you and who a guru is and how they're here, on the planet to support you. If you just go there with trust, I think that that's the number one thing, being open-minded and having trust and surrendering. If you go there with just those things and understanding and letting go, then he will take care of the rest. Inner Awakening is not just a program where you go and you just play. You're doing work and you're doing exercises, but at the same time, you're trusting that somebody else has got wherever you don't. Like wherever I couldn't figure it out, I knew he took care of it. Yeah, he took care of the rest. So Inner Awakening is a program for you to go and to
just open, even if somebody don't know who an avatar is, even if they can just be open to receive, they benefit a lot.
Yeah. You have to be, if you're closed, then you will not be able to receive it. So that is the difference. I think key is you don't have to know everything about the program. Like logically, we don't have to know everything about the program, but we do have to have a trust. We do have to have, we have to an openness. We have to hit enough pain in our everyday life to say, I surrender, because obviously what I'm doing is not working. Exactly. That's what I did. There's a point in your life when you realize, I've done everything that I think I could do on my own, and now I'm going to trust and surrender to somebody else that other people have gotten breakthroughs. So it's also about hearing experiences and stories and other people's, manifestations that they have gotten. So that helps to build that rapport.
Yeah. Wonderful input. And Delina, if I were to ask you, okay, Delina before Inner Awakening and Delina after Inner Awakening, what will be the top 3 things?
So this is good. I had 3 experiences that I thought were life changing for me when I got back. And you don't know how you're going to, it's still evolving. I tell people all the time, I don't know how I'm going to show up. It's still evolving. I'm still learning about new me. So I will just speak of the biggest 3 that I've had so far. So the very first night when I got home, I was in my mom's house and I was sleeping. You know that state where you're sleeping, but you're fully aware of your body.
Correct.
And I had heat in my body, and I was in the middle of the night, and I felt like night sweats and heat, but I felt a presence in my body, but I felt like every organ in my body was stretching. I felt like things were opening and stretching. It was in many ways uncomfortable in my body, but at the same time I knew I was safe. And at the same time I couldn't wake up. It wasn't like I can wake myself up from it. But I knew it was okay.
It was a dream state.
It was a dream state. And so I was feeling a stretching, and then all of a sudden I felt a light that was exploding from my body outward. Extreme intense light. And at that moment, I saw a mandala in my body. I saw a structure in my body, but I couldn't identify it. But I knew for sure, because I was like, what is that? And I was like, wait, that's a structure. That's a mandala. Like you're aware, but you can't, So then I said out loud, and I remember I said this because when I woke up, I was like, that's what I have to focus on. I said, Mahadashihovam. And that's what I remember of that dream. When I woke up, and I slept in the whole next day, which is not like me. My grandfather came into my room at like 7 p.m. and was like, are you okay? And I was like, whoa. I woke up. As soon as I woke up, I went to internet and I went to Swamiji's Facebook page, and he had the first post I saw there was understanding Mahadashiva and the multiple dimensions.
Mahadashiva, yes.
Yes, Mahadashiva and the multiple dimensions of the universe. And I watched that video 2 times. And as soon as I saw the mandala that he presented there, because it talks about like the length, the breadth,
yes.
Time, sound. As soon as I saw that mandala, I knew with 100% certainty that that was the mandala that I had experienced in my dream state.
Wow.
That was a powerful, powerful experience.
This is like after you went back from the program. So it's not like that the experience concludes on the day, on the last day. It continues to manifest in you even when you go back.
Yes, that was the first biggest experience, you know, when I came back very first night.
Wow.
And from there, I knew that he was with me. Like, it was that thing that it was like, I knew I had trust, and I felt kind of elated the whole time. You know, you almost feel like you're kind of walking on air a bit. The very next experience I had, I was on a hike, and it was like within the same week. I went on a hike, but I left for the hike late afternoon, like 3 p.m. And it's starting to get dark in New York around 6 p.m. When I went on the hike, I thought the hike was going to is my new hike. I've never been there. And I live upstate New York. There's woods. It's not like you're on a trail. You're like in the middle of the woods. And I thought the hike, this was going to be a loop. And it wasn't a loop. So when I got to the peak, I realized I had to go all the way back 4 miles. And at that point, I only had 45 minutes to an hour before it was pitch black. It was already dusk. And I was freaking out because there was nobody. I was alone, and I didn't have a flashlight, and I didn't go prepared. So I only had my feet, my legs, and my ability to run and trust. And I just kept praying to Swamiji. I just was saying, I'm strong and powerful. Swamiji's with me. And I was running, but there's so many rocks. Within 30, 45 minutes, it got dark, and I couldn't see anything in front of me, nothing. You can't see a trail path. You're in the middle of the woods. The only thing I had was my cell phone, which there's no service when you're in the woods. And I had the light from my cell phone, and I thought, okay, I could use that, and at least I could see what's right below my feet so I wouldn't trip and fall on the rocks. But I couldn't see paths. Like, I could look up, but everything looks the same. There's a glare. So I just had to really trust in Swamiji. And at that point, what was interesting is I had noticed which switch. So I had a lot of anxiety when I saw, because I thought at some point I'm not going to be able to see. So look as far as you can, because at some point you'll be able to see. I had more anxiety then, but as soon as the lights were off, nothing. And I could only see the light from my phone, and I could only look down at my feet and what was right in front of me. That's when I felt his presence. And I felt like heat on my face and a sense of just peace. And that peace and the message I got from him, which was my lesson, and I needed to go through this experience, was this. It was, you just need to trust what's right in front of you, and you don't have to see the whole path. You just need to trust, and I could cry, I just needed to trust what was right in front of me, and I didn't have to worry about the front, because he took care of it. So it was like the biggest breakthrough for me, and I needed to go through that experience, and I needed to feel him there, because it was about trust. The whole thing was about trusting in him. And when I got back to, and then like I went down like 30 more minutes, but now I knew it was okay, but I still didn't know if I was on the right path. I didn't know if I took a wrong turn. You just don't know. Then I saw 2 guys coming with headlamps, and they were, I guess, they had tents set up somewhere. So they were coming in my direction, and I asked them, how far is it to am I on the right path? How far is it to the cars? He said, oh, you're really close. You're only like 30 minutes out. Just keep going. And when I got to the car, I just sat there and I looked up at the stars and the cosmos, and I cried just in gratitude.
Wow.
Yeah. That was an amazing experience. That was my second breakthrough.
Wow. What
did
that experience leave you with?
It led me with an understanding, and I'm still working on this, but an understanding that I don't need to I don't need to have certainty on the future.
Or the anxiety about the future.
Anxiety about the future. That I just need to focus on what's right in front of me and trust that everything is happening for me, and that it's going to be okay, that I'm okay ultimately. Everything's going to be okay. I just have to worry about in the present moment. Not even worry. Not even.
Just celebrate the present moment.
I have to be present and celebrate. Yes, and celebrate and trust in the. That was the biggest thing. It was trust in the present moment, and let everything else go and surrender. That was the biggest lesson. Yeah, that's what I would take away from that whole experience.
Wow.
Yeah. And lastly, which is more of a business, breakthrough, what some changes usually. So right now I'm promoting a new book that's launched right now called Happy Notes. And I'm doing podcasts for this. So usually in the past for a podcast, I would be very nervous. I would prepare. I would be all over the place. My thoughts would be all over the place. I would feel like nervous that I wasn't going to say the right thing, or I would lose thought. Like no thoughts would come to my mind or something like that. I wouldn't know what to be speaking about, and I would judge myself. This podcast, the very first time, I was not nervous. I prepared and wrote everything. I wasn't going off in tangents. I wrote things very clearly. I wrote down 3 pages of some things that I'd like to discuss in the podcast. When I got interviewed, I was in such certainty, calm, confidence, at peace. I felt his presence. And also what was very interesting about this is whatever I was talking about, when the interviewer went to go ask me a question, he basically asked me a question that I already had the answer or I already wrote about. Wow. So what was interesting, it was like I had created, with Swamiji's help, we created the interview so that by the time the interview happened, the questions that were being asked the interview was already created. And there was so much more flow with that. I didn't stumble because I had already created this interview an hour prior. So that was so I loved how I showed up. Pretty much that's what I'm trying to say. I loved who I became. And that was very different from who I was prior to Inner Awakening. Like how that shift, that was very tangible for me. And lastly, just closing a business deal. Like I had gotten a referral from a coaching client, and that referral called me immediately. I didn't have to call him. He called me. And when he called me, I told him about the program, and I thought usually it's building the relationship and calling a couple of times. He said, no, okay. I told him the price even. He said, fine, send me the details. He signed the contract the same day. This was this week. This was this week. So and I'm coaching him for the first time today. So this whole experience has been that things have definitely shifted. Things are not the same. Initially, it was been about learning to trust, but now it's showing up in manifesting in the way that I've always wanted to manifest. Easily, like effortlessly. That's what's happening here.
Wow. Okay, so to conclude, what would you like to say to people who are watching this, who have not yet experienced Inner Awakening or are thinking to come for Mahasadashiva?
Yay. Okay. First, I'm going to say drop all logic to this. Drop all the beliefs. Like, I know it's coming up. It came up for me. Listen, I didn't go for like 2 years, so I had enough, right? Drop it and trust that if you're hearing my voice right now, if you've heard anything that had to do, if you've seen any link related to it, that's your calling. And that you'd be doing yourself an injustice to not go. To not invest in yourself in this way, you would be doing yourself a disgrace. And that could lead, you would only know what that could lead to and what it would cost you to not go. But I would say go, and to trust that if you're seeing this and if you're hearing this and that if you've seen anything and that if you believe in yourself, then you will be there. That's it.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Delina. I think you beautifully summarized it up. So I really want to thank you for taking your time and coming on this and sharing with all my Facebook and YouTube viewers. And I'll be posting it on Facebook and tagging you so you can share it with your clients as well. Okay?
Love you, Yolanda.
Yes, love you, Delina. Nityananda.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
YouTube, Facebook. Bye.